Welcome to the Circuit of Success Podcast.
The Circuit of Success Podcast.
With your host,
Brett
Gilliland.
Brett Gilliland, Visionary Wealth Advisory.
The Circuit of Success Podcast. Let's start the show.
Welcome to the Circuit of Success. I'm your host, Brett Gilliland. Today we've got JB Glossinger with us. How you doing, JB?
Awesome, man. Good. Glad to be here.
Good to be with you as well, man. You got a lot of good stuff going on. You are the founder and CEO of MorningCoach, creator of Get It Done Now method, PhD, MBA, lifestyle mastery strategist, man, and helping high achievers. They don't need more motivation, you say, which is cool. They need a real operating system, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So excited to have you, man. But before we get started, what has helped make you the man you are today?
Oh, God, everybody. Gosh, the people around me, my coaches, my teachers. I'm an old athlete. So believe it or not, little 5'9" guy, played a lot of football back in the day. And, that's what really helped me out. And then now my new coach is golf, trying to figure out that damn sport, which is just
there you go. We got our opening day Masters Par 3 golf tournament at our country club tomorrow. So I'm excited to get back on the links and
nice.
Hopefully it warms up a few degrees.
Keep an eye on Nico Echeverria is somebody I work with. He's 14th and maybe 17th in the world. It's one of my guys. He actually slept on my sofa when he started with my dog. So big golf.
Wow. That's awesome, man. Well, cool. Well, we can talk golf maybe on another podcast. But again, so I mean, I think it's fascinating to hear, when people talk about their coaches, right? We talk a little bit about that on this podcast, and I think you got to have a coach. So talk about the power of that and what it's done for you in your life.
Yeah, it's weird. I think that the great thing about a show like this is you're talking to professionals. Like, I am not here. When I started my career, it was like getting people off the sofa. I have the aunt that says, "Hey, can you get your cousin off the sofa?" And I'm not there anymore. Like, I want to work with professionals, people that are looking to level up, that are looking for an operating system. And that's what my coaches did. They took me, my new book's out. First line is retard. It's my 5th book. The reason I use that word is because I was held back in 3rd grade and they used to beat the hell out of me and I was called a retard. And so I started off talking about that. And then through the years, I didn't have good grades. I got A's and B's, but I did my MBA and my PhD. It was a struggle until I got to the upper levels. That's where grad school is where I did better because it was more focused. I just had too much energy. I was running all over the place. So my coaches, whether it was Zig Ziglar, Les Brown, Wayne Dyer, people that have been around for years, whether it's books or actually working with people, helped a guy that really didn't have the education, right? Didn't have the golden spoon in his mouth. My family was blue collar workers from the Midwest in Indiana. I had to figure out a system. I didn't have the ability to go to Harvard or go to any of the big schools. So I got into aerospace, which was all engineers, and I had to have a system to be able to operate in there. And I became successful. I started running companies in my 30s, not as the smartest guy, but working with the smartest people in the world.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing too, man. It's not how smart you are, right? It's going out, making things happen, taking risks, betting on yourself, working your butt off, and doing those things. So talk about the system. So when you say systems, people talk about that a lot, but kind of define for our listeners now what that system is and how you're helping people.
Well, great. I love it. Well, I come from aerospace. So I'm a big Jack Welch guy. And when I was coming up as a young person, get my MBA, every CEO came from GE, like everybody, whether it was Hamed, whether it was Lockheed Martin, whatever, they were all GE Six Sigma people. And so I bought into that. I was like, man, I got to understand quality. And so over the years, I took quality standards, ISO, which a lot of people know, AS100, ISO qualification standards, and put it in human life and said, okay, how can I apply this to my life? Looking at all these different components, what Tony Robbins has taught and Zig Ziglar. And we came up with a system over the years that really analyzes where you want to go and what you want to do, and then builds the quality aspect of it, even with your teams. Like, how do we get your teams to become from task to consistency to automation, right? So in our life, it's very similar. For example, we use mission, vision, values. Last year, my vision, I'm not a runner. I said, I want to qualify for the Boston Marathon. So I trained, I put the activity together. I qualified with a 3:27 in Toledo. And my mom was there. She's 80 years old. I felt like I was 12 years old playing T-ball again. But it's really about an operating system. And that's what we do. It's taking those quality standards and putting them into life. For people that are really looking to take that next step. That's what it's about. Okay. So we call it a cascade: mission, vision, values, goals, projects, task.
Yeah. I talk a lot about this on the podcast too. People probably get tired of hearing me tell my train story, but when my kids were little, the trains they play with, right? The magnets, it either attracted and they became a attached train, or it repelled, right? It didn't go together. And it hit me that was mission, vision, and values. And that's what I've talked about as a leader for, 20 years, right? Is if we're not mission aligned, vision aligned, and values aligned, it's not going to work out. Right. And it's good to know that early. So I think the more we can get clear on our mission, vision, and values, the better. So how would you help another person, exercising right now? How do they sit down and really dive into what that mission, vision, and value is?
Well, what's really odd about it is it seems so easy, right? It's like mission,
Right.
vision, value. And even Jim Collins in Good to Great years ago in business, as we're studying, said, hey, great companies are the ones that have mission, vision, values. But the thing is, it's a little bit, it's complicated. It's like, what do I want to do with my life? So what we did is we simplified it. So in our scope, we don't do a big, hairy, audacious mission. As Brian Tracy said, we call our mission, what are you going to do over 12 months? Our vision is who you're going to become over 12 months. And the values are what's important. And we can cascade out of that. So we really slowed it down in our system. It's like, hey, what do you want to do? Like, let's get tangible. What do you want to do? What do you want to become? Right now, my new vision is to become fluent in Spanish because I live in Colombia too. And then what is important to you? What are your values? When you get that really put in place, then you can say no. And that's the biggest issue I have with the people I work with. And I'm sure everybody listening to this is, as you become more successful, you just get more and more opportunities. And so the reason you need an operating system or something in your life that keeps you on track is you don't want to be a river without banks, because that's a lake. You want to be a river. You want to flow. And what a system does allows you to flow as a river. But if you don't have that, you just become this bloated lake that really doesn't achieve. And we've all been there because our lists are too big. And so the mission, vision, and values are the clarity. That's what you need to establish. And so we've brought it back to say, hey, if we don't know, let's just get 12 months. If we can't get 12 months, what are we going to do this month? And again, there's two components. Who are you going to become, which is really critical. I wish somebody had taught me this when I was 20, because that way you're adding skills every year. And what are you going to do? That's really the big goal of the year.
Yeah. How many things, I'm using air quotes for those listening. How many things are too many? Like how many goals do you think you can have and really focus on and be productive?
God, you answer. You've been doing this a while. Great question. So my first book that I wrote with Hay House, actually, it was my first as a C student, got paid to publish. It was awesome. Like, it was great. They wrote me a big check. This is great. It was called The Sacred Six. And the reason we called it The Sacred Six is because it wasn't about goals. We believe you can have as many goals as you want. You can have tons of goals, right? It's great. Have a million goals. But where the problem lies is in the projects level. So what happens, you have all these goals and you're trying to do all these things, and then you're just jammed with projects. So we use Sacred Six projects and tasks. So as we cascade down, you can have goals, but what you're really analyzing is, how many projects do I have going on? Okay, well, I'm trying to run a marathon. I've got a book project going on. I'm trying to run my company and delegate stuff. Okay, those are pretty big projects. So the project level is a breakdown. So it's like, okay, the wife wants to build a farm in Colombia. Okay, where does that fit in? And you got to be able to say, I'm sorry, it's not fitting right now because I don't have the capacity or the cognitive ability to do it. And that's really what we're big on, is like reducing cognitive strain.
And how do you do that? Like, so walk us through like what a process would be like. If I was your client, let's kind of role play, if you will, of how you're going to help me achieve those Sacred Six.
Well, we talked a little bit about AI, right? So we've embraced it. We work with I always say it wrong. I'm going to say Claude, just easier because I can't say the name. Right. But we use Claude, and we have a system that we've actually developed to help with that. So you can put all the information in, and then it kind of helps you clarify things. And we actually have a day's focus, press a button. It looks at everything going on in your life and tells you what's going on. Without that, okay, which is fine too, what I would say is we got to first get clarity of mission, vision, values. And without that, it's really challenging. After that, we can analyze and start to look at, really, we call it the 7 Ps of the morning every morning. And it's really about having the right perspective. That's why I love to go to Colombia, because I go to the beach where people have nothing. And it's the old fisherman story, right? If you've heard that, like, why don't I just become a fisherman? But you start with the right perspective, then it's really about prioritization. I know we've all heard this ad nauseum, but if you don't have a consistent, and I like to say a ritualistic system, you're not going to prioritize properly, and the world is going to dictate your actions. And so really it's about stepping back and looking at, what do we really want to achieve? and then getting really clear about that, and then prioritizing that on a daily basis. What's going to move the needle? And that's what I love about technology now. Software is actually helping that. Where AI sucks is like in the creation things. I write books. I'm not going to have AI write my books, but what it's really good at is analyzing data. So if you can give it a bunch of data and say, okay, this is my life, this is where I want to go, it does a really good job of saying, hey, this is your best shot at having that success.
Yeah. Talk about the power of consistency. I call it boringly consistent. I think if somebody followed me around and to manage the things that I manage throughout our businesses and then our family and my kids and all that stuff, I just show up every day and do the same thing, right? Every day, whether I want to do it or not, right? And so talk about the power of that, and obviously you're connecting because you're laughing on it, and it's hitting home.
I'm just laughing because I'm writing a book in the fall about this. I'm like, did somebody send you a script? I swear we have not talked before.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as a marathon guy that wasn't a marathon guy, there's a little secret called Zone 2. And Zone 2 is I run at 130 beats per minute is my heart rate. You can talk. It's really easy. And as an old football player athlete that was a little guy that had to hit people, I'm aggressive. Like I have to feel like I'm working out. But Zone 2 is the opposite. Like you're just jogging. And the whole secret to being a great runner is to get that Zone 2. I want to be running an 8-minute mile, which is Boston qualified at Zone 2. That means I'm not even hurting my body. Like I'm not even at lactate threshold. So what I've done is I'm actually living that life right now with my business, which I call Zone 2 living. And it's just exactly what you are discussing, that truly successful people are not living in 4 and 5, which is super heart rate, super high stress, super anxiety. They're just consistently doing the things they knew. They're doing Zone 2. It equates to athletics, it equates to health, and it equates to lifestyle and business. And so there's a lot of things you can do. We call loops. In my book, Chapter 7, we talk about these loops, that you have open loops and closed loops. You have outcome loops, and then you have action loops. And the problem is, like, learning Spanish is a loop, right? So it's something you got to do. But somebody that's a high achiever like me, for years, it's like, I got to learn Spanish. Well, if I don't learn it in a day, I'm making an outcome loop, an action loop. And so I'm putting tremendous pressure on myself to say, I got to close this loop. I got to check that box. Learning Spanish, you're never going to check that box. Growing Morning Coach, I'm never going to check that box. That's a loop. So you have to have some tools to make your life really easy. And I never say easy, but kind of boring, but consistent, right? That's the secret.
Yeah, it is, man. It's like, I look back at where I was at in my 20s, and now I'm just from 48. I look back and I'm thinking it seems easier, but now you got more people, right? And I think when you invest in people, that's what I have found. That's what allows me to get a lot of stuff done in multiple businesses because of the amazing people that we employ, right? Amen. Couldn't do it without them. So I want to go back to something you said, or go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I just say you got to learn to trust him. And one other point, since you're a golfer, I'll go play with Nico, one of the best in the world, and he makes golf so boring. Yeah. Like I'm in the woods, I'm over there.
Right. And get your money's worth.
They play boring golf. If they really, when they're playing aggressive, they're trying to win a tournament, they're playing aggressive. But typically, if you play the pro and he's just out there, your country club or whatever in your tournaments, you play good golfers, they're boring. They hit the fairway, they get it up on the green, and they're getting pars. They're not being aggressive, trying to stick that pin. And it's the same with business and life. Like if you play that way, if you hit fairways, if you hit greens and you two-putt, you're going to score.
Yeah. So I always joke with my buddies, if you just hit every green in regulation and two-putt, you're going to hit par, right? I mean, that's all you got to do. Seems pretty easy game, but it's not.
Easy game till you get out there.
Something you said earlier were the 7 Ps for the morning. Talk about those. What are those 7 Ps?
Yeah, so the first one's perspective, second one's priorities, third one's performance. I just got to keep an eye out: patience, posture, presence, and persistence. So we've used those 7 Ps every morning, and I remind people as part of their morning ritual that, first of all, get the right perspective. That's the one that many people break down, right? It's like as we get older, like in our 20s, obviously our perspective shifts, but it's like, wow, man, just one of the big changes in my life personally was just focus on what you have. Right. And so just having that ability to say, wow, this is just amazing, and wake up like that is a great way to go. And then the priorities, that's really the key. Just keep your priorities in check and just keep getting better. Focus on improved performance, have patience that it's going to work. Presence and posture. I'm a big fan of getting your shoulders back and, being present when you're with your, you're with your wife or with your significant other. with your employees. Be there. Don't be on your phone. Don't be somewhere else. That presence and posture is so critical. Like if you can dominate that, you can. And then persistence.
And that's the number. So wait, hang on real quick. So we got perspective, priorities, and then third one is present and posture.
Performance. Focus on improved performance is third. Fourth is patience. Fifth is posture. And then sixth is present, which means be here. And then seventh is just keep going. You do those 7 Ps, man. It just works.
Yeah.
So they're all really important. And again, a lot of people don't understand like the posture and presence. That comes from my old school coaching from Zig Ziglar and stuff way back, where you show up in a room and I'm very introverted. Like I don't like to go to events unless I speak. I just can't stand it. But you want to be the one that comes with posture and presence. And even if somebody's giving you like a ton of stuff about selling you insurance at a networking thing, you still want to be present, right? That's what people will love to be around you, because you're actually engaging instead of disappearing in your mind.
Yeah. It's funny because I think people think they're either an extrovert or an introvert. And it's like, I just been seeing this word and I can't remember what it is now, but like outrovert or something like that is one that's coming on the scene. And it's like, I feel like I connect with that one, because even in my 20s, I hated going to networking events and having to, shake hands and do all the crap you got to do to try to build a business. Now I did it and was successful at it, but I didn't enjoy it. Right. And so what do you tell that person that's maybe they think they're introverted, but how do they want to build a business and get to that next level?
Well, let's first step with labels. Like I don't like labels. I use them because you need them, but I don't like labels. We're so much more than our labels. I think everybody in a different environment, like I'm introverted in certain groups and extroverted in other. I mean, I'm with the right group. To me, what introvert and extrovert means this, like if people are taking your energy, that's me. Like if I'm just going to give you everything that I got. So I got to get away from people to recharge, where some people can be in that social setting and they're like, and they're getting, that's not me. Right. So that's what I consider an introvert is like, you got to get away from people to recharge, where some people can go to party all night. You go to a mastermind or something. They're like hanging out all night. That's not me. So I think you just got to find your vibe. And the word that's get thrown around, and I'm tired of hearing of it, is this authentic self. But there is a truth to that. Like you want to be authentic. You want to be real. Whatever that is, own it. Right. So if you're a little nerdy, I'm a little nerdy. I'm okay with that. You know who's doing a good job with that? It's Mendoza, the new number 1 draft pick. He's just being himself, and that's what you got to be in the world today. The good, the bad, and the in between with you.
I love that. He is doing a good job of it, man. All of his interviews, everything. Talk about the morning ritual. So if I were to, kind of watch your ritual that you're doing day in and day out, what am I going to see on a no miss items?
Well, it's cool. I want to talk about general, not, because I'm not here to sell. That's not what I'm doing. But with Morning Coach, what I do is I get up in the morning and I have one screen on. I actually listen to my own CoachCast. We write the books for ourselves, right? I have got ADD, never diagnosed, but I'm like every other entrepreneur. I got a million things I could do, whether it's golfing today or whether it's, whatever it is, lifting, running. I mean, there's a million things. So I need something that settles me down, get out of that, like, high cortisol anxiety. So I like to work out first thing, but that's the self-care aspect. Then I sit down at my desk, I listen to my CoachCast. It's 15 minutes and I go in my planning system, which is we call it the companion software. I look at my projects and tasks, I press a button and it gives me what I need to do. And then I take that daily plan and I download it. We made it so you can download it and put it in your Remarkable. So then it's in my Remarkable and then I just start working. So I literally, that's but to put that into context for somebody that's not using that type of system, what I would say is do some self-care, whatever that is. Listen to something positive, stay away from the news and all that stuff that's just kind of propaganda-ish, no matter what your belief system is, be careful. And then, get your day planned with the priorities. If you do that, you're going to be better than most. And that's where you're going to set yourself for a better day. And again, going back to cognitive load, that's the whole key. Like if you're overwhelmed, if you listen to Reed Kamen's work, which is just awesome, Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow, I've incorporated a lot into my work. System 1, System 2 thinking's huge, and it takes glycogen. And if you're in System 1 all the day making assumptions, you're going to make errors. And so you got to have the ability to make decisions. And the biggest issue we have in the world today is decision fatigue. It's huge. It's a pandemic. Nobody talks about it. Nobody wants to make a decision because we're fatigued. Like we don't have the energy to make a decision.
Yeah, I'm taking a note here, but I'm holding my journal. This is what I use. This is what I created, helping you achieve a future greater than your past, right? And so this is a 90-day deal, and it's just There's a daily planner, there's a weekly scorecard, all that stuff. And what I love the most is, and I do this every Sunday, and I did it, this couple days ago, and it's a Sunday planning. And I write out every single meeting I have for the week. And then I visualize that meeting. So like I already visualized what this appointment was going to look like, right? Like this podcast. I already had this printed out. Our team printed it out, right? I already know who you are. And now when I come sit down here, or if it's a client meeting, I've already visualized the client meeting. I think that's powerful. So talk about the visualization for you and if that's played a role in your life.
No, I think it's great. And to me, it's about the systems, and you obviously have a system. It's not so much about the tools. I get a lot of people come here and, they're like, hey, how do I use this tool? No, you got to have a system, right? You got your system, which is great. If somebody just buys into a system, it's really important. Visualizations, it's gigantic. Obviously, working with athletes, the brain doesn't realize what's happening, if you're doing it in visualization aspect of it. As a speaker, somebody that spoke, 10,000 people, a lot of people get scared. I don't get scared about that. I've done it a million times in my head. Right. And I don't even prepare. Like I'm a speaker that doesn't prepare. I don't get PowerPoint. I don't do any of that. I just go to stage. What do you want me to talk about? And I go and do it because I've done it a million times. Right. So visualization's gigantic. Like to me, whether you're doing first person, second person, third person, however you do it, I personally like to think you're in a movie theater and you're kind of watching your life. I think that's a great way to visualize. But no, exactly how you just said, it's awesome. Again, it's about the system. As long as you have an underlying system and then you apply the tools to it, you're going to win. And that's why I don't like to work with people that need help getting off the sofa. Because I don't have anything for them. I'm sorry. I can't help you, but if you're an achiever and you're like, hey, I'm just looking for one or two tools that may be a difference, or I need a system. I've really not applied a system. Then you need to work with somebody like what you have going on, or somebody like MorningCoach, or somebody that has a system. I would be careful with the motivational community. I love them. I don't want to say anything bad about them, but there are a lot of people in the motivational community that are not systemic, right? It's more like rah-rah stuff. And the people I work with are professionals. They don't need rah-rah stuff. They need alignment, a system. They need to be that river that's flowing, not the lake. And, trying to get the rah-rah banks all together, that just, to me, doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, it's especially they go to these conferences on Fridays, right? And then it's like the people then fly home after their talk and it's the motivation's gone. It's back to reality, right? And it's like, well, crap, why was I fired up about that? Oh, that's right. And it's just, I don't know. It drives me nuts as well.
Yeah, you got a notebook of stuff and, it's like nothing gets done and you're just kind of repeating the same pattern. I don't have a problem with it, but, that's one of the reasons I started Morning Coach and show up every day for 21 years because I just believe the suntan wears off. And I charge $200 a month. I'm not charging $15,000. And the reason I do that, I'd rather have somebody work with me over years than work with, say, here's a big check and then, work for a little time and disappear.
Yeah. Amen. How do you dream?
Ooh, that's a good one. How do I dream? I dream like, it's funny. I dream kind of in this system. It's like, what do we want to do? So our big thing was like, I love Colombia. My wife's awesome. And it was like, we want to, build this place in Palomino. I went down to speak at a mastermind and I had forgot about like Tyrona Park and this most beautiful place in the world. There's a mountain, 14,500 feet right on the ocean with snow. And I went down there to speak and ended up in Palomino. I'm like, we need a place here. So it's like, what are we going to do? And for me, if I'm going to build something or do something, I'm not going to take money out of the business. I'm not going to take money out of our 401 or any wealth. I'm going to build around that. Meaning, okay, we got a dream. How are we going to execute on that dream? Yeah. And to me, that's the game. Like that's what life's all about. So dreaming about winning Boston or running qualifying for Boston Marathon. It's really Wayne Dyer taught me this. So I'm not going to take credit for this at all. But the last 5 minutes before you go to bed, you need to have that hope. I don't care what you've achieved. It's not even about, and I really think this is important. It's about who you become, not about the things you acquire, but you need to have a little bit of both of that because it's so awesome to dream and dream with your family. Don't just do it. Just don't make it about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun, man. I love to dream and it's like writing it down and then, going public with it. And that's with your family, my wife, my kids, they know all of our dreams, and I think it's important and hopefully for them as they're getting that. And then as they age and grow, they're going to, learn to dream and know how to dream and want to dream. That's the biggest thing, is wanting to dream and believe in it.
And go visit, do it. Like, here's a map of Palomino. Like, I'm on the ground. Like, I flew there last month. Like, you got to make it a reality. And I have to deal with government issues. Luckily, my wife's Colombian. Like, it's not easy to just go buy beach property, property in the city of Palomino. So, we're waiting on Distant Global, which is a Spanish word. So you got to keep it going if you're going to do that. Like, right now I'm looking, this is crazy. So I'm working to become fluent in Spanish. I'm in a little town, LaPorte, Indiana, 50 miles out of Chicago. This is how I dream, right? And how dedicated I am to the system. I'm trying to figure out where Spanish people speak. Well, I can't find a lot of people here. So I'm going to a Spanish mass Wednesday night for an hour. So I'm at least absorbing more Spanish, because I do an hour a day with somebody from Venezuela, but in Colombia in my school. But I'm actually going to go there. And that's the action. That's why I like to work with people of action, that actually dream, but in motion.
Yeah. Being a student of the game, man, that's so important. Yeah. Now, the Chicago Bears, are they going to move to Indiana, or are they going to stay in Illinois?
God, I hope so. It's 20 minutes from my house, man. I'm on a lake here. I mean, it would be unbelievable. I got this old hotel here that I built in a retreat. I mean, they would literally be 20 minutes from my house if they go to Hammond. That would be, it would be a windfall for me, let me tell you.
That's awesome.
So I'm cheering. Go Bears. I think that, the problem is, as a business owner, you understand the tax implications are so hard. And Illinois is just a state that's grinding businesses right now. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. Well, as an Illinoisan, I hope you nothing but success. But man, I'm like, how do we lose that if that happens? That's just awful. St. Louis, we lose the Rams, and Missouri loses the Chiefs in 2030 or whatever it is. It's like, that sucks.
I'm not a political guy. I stay away from it as much as possible. But the problem you have a lot of times in Illinois is you have a high concentration of people in one area that are dictating policy for the entire state. So that that's a challenge sometimes, Sometimes that's hard. So it's it is what it is. Like, we don't make the rules, we play the game. So make the best out of the game.
Yep. I love that. It's true. I tell people all the time, man, I don't care who's president. They're not going to change my life. Like, I mean, I've been doing this long enough. And so it's like, go out and have a plan, follow the plan, right? Execute the plan, and then just show up. And so when you think about that, how do you stay focused with the craziness? And I know you're going to go back to the plan, but is that what recommendation would you have for our listeners?
To me, it's really important that I create a community. And the reason I did was create a community of people, like winners. Like, that's who I want to be with. And I'm not saying people are losers. I want to make sure that's a big preface. Like, that's really important. I want to be around the right people, like thinkers, right? So we're having a higher dialogue. And I mean, I don't care which party you're on. A lot of that stuff that's happened politically is insanity. Like, as a business owner, the money and I can't get in that game. That's not a place for me, because there's just so much insanity. And so what I focus it on is our people and getting to know other people that are doing cool things, whether it's science, whether it's Dr. Paul Kilgore with health, or John Cunningham, my guy in Japan that just learned to play guitar. Like, I'm just absorbed in awesome people that are trying to do cool stuff.
Yeah. Very cool. Makes me think about this guitar I have autographed by a country star over here in my studio. I've always loved and thought about just how cool it'd be to play the guitar. I tried to teach myself on YouTube during COVID when you couldn't do anything else, but I don't know. I'm left-handed and I got right-handed guitar, so maybe that's my problem. That's what I'll blame it on.
Jimi Hendrix did that, right? Jimi Hendrix.
Is that what he did?
Wrong way. No. Jimmy played the upside down. Yeah, he played it upside down. But of course, he had acid dripping in his eyes. But still,
right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of the things. Like, that's a great example. I have a Taylor, and I have a really awesome EPS upstairs, and I have I invested. I had my guitar stolen when I was 18 years old, living in Tucson.
Oh, wow.
I played a lot. And I never was able to afford guitars, so I never played again. So a couple years ago, I bought them. But the problem is, it's one of those things that just takes time. And so I had to take it off my list, and I had to park it. And I just honestly don't have the time that it's going to take to learn how to play guitar. I can play Country Roads by John Denver. That's about it.
It's so funny you say that. That's one of the ones I was trying to learn, because I was like, easiest songs that you like that you can learn to play, And so that was literally one of the ones I could. My wife and kids could kind of tell what I was playing, but it was, we had a lot to go.
Those tones though, John Denver could sing, man. I can't do it. So it's pretty rough.
Yeah. There's no singing in my deal.
No, but I think that's a great thing. Like, I think, we don't want to bury our head in the sand as far as politically and things that are going on in the world. You have to understand what's happening, but you also have to understand your role and your position. And I think to have big impact and influence, if you keep your head down and you become more successful, then you can have actual influence. A friend of mine once said that you don't save the rainforest by making signs and marching. You save the rainforest by buying the rainforest, right? And so I think that's an important part, that as successful people that get together, when I talk about political issues, I'm not saying ignore them. I'm saying have influence in the right way. And here's one of the big issues I have as I work with people is cognitive dissonance. If you're going on Facebook and you're going on social platforms and podcast interviews and fighting with people, and that's not your platform, right? That's not what you're doing. All you're doing is you're creating more polarization, because you're just going to have people entrench. And if you know anything about the way people entrench, you're not even helping your cause. So if you actually want somebody to come to you, a Republican, want people to be a Democrat, or you want to be a Democrat, you want them to be a Republican, you can't be fighting, because what you're doing is you're entrenching them in thought. So it's counterproductive to being really strategic in the big picture.
Yeah. How do you filter out noise with all the noise that goes on in this world today?
I let it come in. I this last couple of years, my faith has become very important to me, and I don't want to make it about that, but I'm a metaphysician. I did a PhD in metaphysics, and I just have faith. Like, I just have a better view of life and what's going on, and what my connection to my faith has really allowed me to kind of filter through all the stuff.
Yeah. How do you build that? How have you built that in the last couple of years?
Meditation, a lot of prayer. I'm not afraid to say that. I studied a lot, and so for me, it's my personal faith is important to me. And, I've got a personal relationship. I do a lot of reading, a lot of studying. I was confirmed Catholic, but I'm not really Catholic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do the rosary. My wife's very spiritual. So we go to Colombia, we spend a lot of time in nature, and it's just connecting with nature. And whatever your spirituality is, it doesn't have to be religious, but if it is a religion, great. As long as you can separate the kind of the dogma, the human dogma, and find it, I think it's great. I think most religions are awesome. They really are about love and connection. It's the human stuff that gets in the way.
Yeah. What do you wish you had more time to do that you would make, spend more time on it would make an impact in the world?
Gosh, we're my objective right now, while I'm doing podcasts and stuff, and we mentioned this before we got on the show, I've been financially pretty successful. I've got a nice MRR, monthly recurring revenue, so it's not like I'm pushed. But what I really want to do is have a statue next to St. Francis at a couple no-kill shelters. And so me and my wife, we don't have children, but we've decided to give all of our money to animals. So I'm out there now, like really trying to build my business so that when we do go, they'll have this statue and they'll say, who's that guy next to St. Francis 100 years from now? And they'll be, oh, that's the guy that, built this place. Yeah. So our focus now is to put money into animals. I think they just don't have the opportunity a lot of humans do. I know that sounds kind of cold, but saving dogs and horses and cats is something that we're really passionate about.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Good for you. What, kind of in closing here, the sticker, we talked about this, I think, before recording, is helping you achieve a future greater than your past. When you hear that, what comes to mind for you?
I think like this show, like you're an awesome interviewer, people plugging into this, getting the right sources is so important to me. My life wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for the people around me. Like I said, I didn't have the golden spoon. I didn't have the education of understanding wealth building. Nobody taught me about 4.5%. Heck, I didn't even know what investment. I didn't even know what the stock market was. When I grew up, we didn't have any of that. My family is blue collar. We just got up and worked every day and then drank beer on the weekends. I don't even drink anymore. So I just really feel it's so important that you stay connected to shows like yourself, stuff like we're doing, other people. That's how we make big change, one person at a time.
Yeah. And then what kind of exercise, help that person right now that wants to stay active, be active? I want to play golf on my 100th birthday. So I'm making choices today to go do that. But what are the things that you do day in and day out that keeps you healthy and it looks like you're in good shape?
Yeah, zone 2 is so incredible. Yeah, my age is like 46, turning 57 this year biologically. I got really big into it. Like I want quality of life. Like I want to be here a long time and to be able to have that. And so to me, one of the magical things that all the research that I've been doing, and I was an exercise. I went to exercise phys when I was younger, in my undergrad, but that's not what I do for a living. But I can tell you, if everybody would just look at zone 2 and do 30, 40 minutes and do it 3 to 5 times a week, the quality of life is so much better because it's building cardiovascular and it's building your engine. And we know that's the number one killer is cardiovascular disease. And when it comes to Parkinson's and dementia, it just creates blood flow and it helps so much. And so I just beg people to, manage your diet. Obviously, I'm not going to insult anybody's intelligence. And then do zone 2 and a little bit of resistance. It's crazy, this magical zone 2. I mean, I qualified for Boston white knuckling it. Like I just pushed through that as an athlete. But now I'm becoming I have this wonderful engine. My heart rate's going down to a 46 and I'm not doing anything special. I am doing 40 miles. So that's special. But I think if you're just doing 5 miles at zone 2, if you're just getting started, it's going to make a big impact.
Yeah, I think it's funny that we're talking about this because last night it was kind of we were 2 guys at work. We're standing around like, hey, when are we going to play pickleball? Like we hadn't played pickleball together. We talk about it and we're like, well, I'm dropping my son off at practice at this time. So we all were dropping our kids off at the same time and there's a pickleball place right up the road. And we're like, I'll see you there in 45 minutes. And so we played and we ended up playing for 2 hours last night. I had 8,188 steps and it was phenomenal. And I wear a Whoop, so I'm tracking all my stuff. And oh yeah, perfect. I've never done that one. I need to check that out. But then it went on to talk.
That if you use it, put it on your arm. I've had it for 3 years. It's right here.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but it's awesome.
No. Yeah. Okay. I'll have to check that out. I see the golfers wearing them. You'll see it at the Masters. The guys will have them on up here. And but anyway, it went on and gave me this whole deal about my zone 2 because I played, like I said, 8,100 steps, 2 hours, and I never got above zone 2. But I stayed at zone 1 and zone 2 for most of the time, and it talked about how that's helping for my health span. And so I started this year at the same age that I really am. And I'm like, man, that's not good, And so now I think I'm 8 or 9 years younger just in 3 or 4 months of what I've been doing. So
sleep. Obviously sleep, we didn't talk about, so critical. Sleep, zone 2, a little bit of fitness, a little bit of lifting. It's not crazy. Like this isn't like you have to go run a marathon. Like you can do it. And for us, and obviously we're dealing with professionals and people that are listening, watching, I really want people to have quality of life. That's why our number one thing in my morning ritual, self-care. I'm like, just please do something. Yeah. Because we're living in a really, especially with children, an obese society that for me, it's not so much about the current situation. It's, 40 years, 50 years down the road when that extra weight is there and it's going to affect your joints and just the quality of life is not where it's going to be. And nobody's really having that honest discussion. And I mean, people are doing GLP and all that stuff. And you can do so much with zone 2, proper eating, and to your term, getting your journal, being consistent. Yeah. That's the secret.
Amen, brother. So where do our listeners find more of you?
We can do Morning Coach, and what do we have on success? So we'll do morningcoach.com/success. Okay. And that way I have a planner that we do with Mark. We'll give that away for free. And if they want to check out my book and stuff, we'll do some cool stuff on there. And I'll put the episode up and stuff like that.
Very cool. Well, we'll put that all in the show notes, man. And thanks so much for being with me, JB. Really appreciate your time today. Hang with me here.